Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Skyrim Plus. Today I'm featuring one of the most underrated Skyrim homes of all time, the Meadows Cottage by Lady Honor. Let's check out the map. Here we are at the Meadows Cottage. We're right next to Greenspring Hollow, near Dustman's Cairn. To our northwest is Morthal, and to our east is Whiterun, and here we are again at our featured home, the Meadows Cottage. And here we are at our new home. We're situated on a beautiful piece of land in the plains of Whiterun. One of the best features of the home is its yard, and outdoor features like this fish rack. It sits right in front of our scenic stream of water. I have ducks and swans for Skyrim SE installed, which gives us these finely feathered friends, and you can see the fish swimming too. You can see Fort Greymore, the Western Watchtower, and Whiterun in the background. And there's Silent Moon's camp, Dustman's Cairn, and then you can see Greenspring Hollow in the background. As we move further up in the yard, we arrive at a garden area. It has 30 fertile soils to plant whatever you want. I've gone ahead and planted this up with some roses. You can see the training dummy acting as a scarecrow, and then here's Daisy, our horse. She comes with the home. Isn't she pretty? Here's Daisy's stable. Inside you have a bedroll. The home cost 8,000 septims, but the mod author wanted to give you a place to stay until you could afford it. You can also plant in the soils while you're saving up for the home. Here's a grain mill if you need to make some flour. And here's a well with 3 more fertile soils in the buckets where you see the roses. Straight ahead you have a training dummy to sharpen your combat skills. And here's a cluster of mushrooms that looks super nice. And then there's Greenspring Hollow again in the background. This home also has a number of different grass mod and forest patches. There's a patch for the Great Forest of Whiterun, Folkvanger grass, Kynes grass, Origin of the Forest 3D grass, 3D landscapes, Skyrim 3D trees and plants, and Whiterun Forest Borealis. Currently, I'm using Vadosbrom regions, and although there's not a patch for that, I think it looks pretty good as is. Here's a gazebo. You have a cooking pot and a barbecue. Here's a table for 2 to enjoy a nice night by the crackling fire. And before I move on, I should probably include that there's a patch for I Need, as well as a patch for Bison of Skyrim. Here's a boat dock with some torches for nighttime, and if you look down that stream further, you'll find Mistral Manor and Bluff Home if you have those installed. Those are 2 home mods that I like. And if we look to the other side of the water, that's where Dovahkiin's warehouse and bedroom, and Dovahkiin's armory would be, so no conflicts there. Next, we have a pen for your animals. This butt belongs to a cow that you can milk once per day. And in the back, you have some chickens that lay eggs that you can harvest. I have peaceful animals installed, which is why that wolf that you saw earlier wasn't attacking. So if you don't have that, you may want to keep this gate closed when you aren't using the area. As we continue walking up the hill, we'll find a wood chopping block and a woodcutter's axe, and a pile of wood that acts as firewood storage. And here's a closer look at the front of our home. It's beautiful. The activatable for sale sign will be next to the left candle. Where you see the roses are 3 more fertile soils, and anywhere on the tour that you see roses is where fertile soils are located. On this side of the home we have an arcane enchanter and link storage for soul gems, as well as an alchemy lab with link storage for ingredients and potions and poisons. Here are a couple of more fertile soils, a lamp for nighttime, and check out that view off of the back deck. You have an exit from here too. As we turn, you can see an outdoor dining table. It looks super nice. We have some more fertile soils along the side, and here's a special magical smelter. Straight ahead you can see another fertile soil, and to the right we have an apiary. There's a beehive on that tree for any stamina potion lovers. And then to the left we finish out our suite with an anvil, link storage to smithing, grindstone, workbench, and tanning rack. There's also a pickaxe on the ground, another fertile soil, and a beautiful view of the front yard. Just look at that. How idyllic. As we turn back towards the front door, we have even more fertile soils. And now we've seen all of the features of the yard. Let's head inside. And here's our view as we enter. We're going to turn to the corner and work our way around. In the corner we have an oven, we have a food barrel, here's a bonfire and a cooking pot, some harvestable ingredients, a cool looking pumpkin on the shelf, here's a dining room table, and I really love those windows above that, those look so nice. And then here's your living room area with a table for two. To the left you have a cabinet for wine and spirits, and just past that you have a bookshelf. In the corner you have an office, and inside of this locked box you have an amulet of Mara and a circlet of restoration. On the desk you have a cool snow elf statue, and you have a teleport spell for the home. Ooh, I really like those textures they use for the walls, those look so good. And then here's your bedroom area. On the right side of the room you have a button that turns on and off the lights. It looks like you have a cabinet to store some towels and soaps, a chest by your bed, and my bed's being modified by ignoble beds, so yours might look slightly different. To the left of the bed you have a wardrobe, a shield plaque, 4 weapons racks, and 4 fertile soils. There's also a cellar door, but we'll check out that space later. For now, we're heading upstairs. Up the stairs you have a couple of bookcases and a light switch. Here's a place to store some musical instruments. And through this door, we have a kid's bedroom. And check out the decoration. I really like that model house. You've got some beds with some stuffed animals on them, a rocking horse. Look at that light pouring through the window up here. And if you look over the ledge, you can see to that bonfire in the kitchen. You might need to stay on them not to roughhouse too much up here. On the far wall, you have lots of cabinets to store their toys. Across from that is a little table with some stuffed rabbits and a tea set. Maybe you could roleplay some Alice in Wonderland up here. And in the back corner of the room, you have a wash basin so they can keep clean. But let's say that you know that kids aren't in your future. Well, there's a button to customize the space to your liking. This button gives you the option to toggle options for bed 1, bed 2, and the decoration between a follower's room and a child's room. Here's the decoration for a follower's room. Now we'll try toggling one of the beds. Okay, we've toggled the bed, so now we'll turn around, and we'll notice that the orientation's changed. It was sideways, and now it's backed up to that rail, and there are no stuffed animals. You can configure this room to have 2 kids' beds, 2 followers' beds, or a kid's bed and a follower's bed, but remember that the home has to have a total of 2 kids' beds to be eligible as a Hearthfire Multiple Adoptions home. Now let's head to the cellar and see what that has to offer. As we enter the cellar, we have a training dummy, there are some more fertile soils, linked storage for smithing, and another complete smithing suite. There's your grindstone, anvil, smelter, workbench, and tanning rack, as well as a light switch for the space. There's your ladder to go back upstairs, and then here's your alchemy lab with linked storage for ingredients and potions and poisons. And along this back wall you have an arcane enchanter with linked storage for soul gems, and a few pieces of jewelry you can enchant too. And here's a couple of chairs to pull up a seat by the fire. It looks extra cozy with that rug, and it has a well-decorated mantle. Next we'll go check out the study. It has tons of empty bookshelves. I've gone ahead and put some books on them for your viewing pleasure. You also have these bookshelves that are in the middle of the room. They contain the 9 shrines to the divines and tons of cool decoration, and they give you spots where you can store your insects in a jar after you collect them. I went ahead and put up my insects in a jar just so you could see what the finished product looks like. It looks really good. She's also added these books and scrolls to the ground for decoration, but don't worry, they're static, you can't kick them around. And here's another bedroom. Just like the one upstairs, it's customizable to your liking. Here's what it looks like before we make any changes. You've got a little table, a couple of shield plaques, a wardrobe for your clothes, and a couple of adult beds with shrines of Mara on either side. Here's our button to customize. Having your HUD on would probably make finding the trigger a little easier. We've switched our decoration to a kid's setup so we can see what that looks like real quick. If I were you and I were organizing this space, I would probably keep the kids' room upstairs and I'd keep the followers' room downstairs, unless you just want a lot of kids or a lot of followers. Our last of the indoor spaces is my personal favorite. To the right, you have a few shield plaques. And to the left, you have some mounted display cases. Those always look good. You also have some of these dagger displays, and a couple of these really nice benches. As we head further into the room, we find a special item display for Ariel's bow and shield. And then to the right, you have a spot for all of your special amulets and necklaces. You have another one of those really nice benches, some mini braziers. We have some more unique item storage for things like Pelagius's hip bone and the Agma Infinium. On the wall to the right, you have a spot to store your Dragon Priest masks, and straight ahead, your Paragons and the Initiate's Ewer and a lot of the Dawnguard items. And next to that, there's a spot for your Elder Scrolls, Black Books, and the Deathbrand treasure map. And speaking of treasure map, there's a display for all of the base game treasure maps. Here's some more of those great display cases. And then on the other side, you have a space to store all of your Skull keys, the Mythic Dawn commentaries, the Right Eye of the Falmer, and more. There's a spot for your Dragon Claws. And now we're ready to see the last part of the room. These doors almost mirror the first doors that we entered. You have 3 shield plaques and a nice bench on one side, and 3 mounted display cases and dagger displays on the other. And straight ahead is a special item display for the Daedric quest items, like Spellbreaker, Dawnbreaker, Sanguine's Rose, the Ebony Mail, and more. I like how they're displayed upright. And surrounding the Daedric displays are several armor displays that have a shield on top, 4 weapons plaques below, as well as spaces to show off each piece of your armor. For those of you that would like to show off your cool armor without mannequins, this gives you a unique way to do it. And there's a button behind each set to help manipulate the positioning of the armor. What a unique display room. Now that we've seen all of the features of this home, it's time for final thoughts. The Meadows Cottage is a jewel of a home in the plains of Whiterun. It has a fantastic yard with tons of features, like a garden that contains 30 fertile soils, as well as tons of other soils spread out on the deck and even inside of the home. You have nice places to wine and dine with your family and friends, a horse stable that includes Daisy the horse, a grain mill, a cow that you can milk once a day, and chickens that lay eggs, an apiary and beehive, a wood chopping block for your firewood needs, and full smithing suites, alchemy labs, and arcane enchanters, both indoors and outdoors. Inside, you have both an oven and a cooking pot for your cooking needs, light switches, a teleport spell, a bed for you and your spouse, and bedrooms with configurable beds and decorations to meet the needs of those that want mostly kids, those that want mostly followers, or even a mixture of both. You have tons of bookshelves for the bookworms of Skyrim, all of the shrines to the divines, and the home is a collector's dream with a mini museum and armory in your basement. I mean, really, look at all of these displays. Displays for days. For someone who doesn't want to play Legacy of the Dragonborn, this could be a good alternative. Basically, this cottage is a perfect place for the avid collector to settle down with your family and feel like all of your adventuring has been worth it. This concludes my feature of the Meadows Cottage. If you enjoyed this content and want to see more, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the bell icon if you want to be notified of when I post, and as always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next episode.